If you guys have seen one of my games I played videos last year, then you've probably seen me talk about Hollow Cocoon. I played the demo back then, and even though it didn't show too much, I thought it was pretty interesting. The art direction was beautiful, and it had a really intense atmosphere. The full game enhances that, but with a few flaws here and there. Hollow Cocoon is about Minato Jinba, a college student who lives in a boarding house in the city. One night, he gets a call from his father, telling him that his grandmother collapsed. Minato resented her for years after she refused to attend his mother's funeral, but his dad manages to convince him to visit her at a clinic. This leads to him traveling to his mother's village and dropping by her childhood home. As nice as it sounds for him to reflect on memories there, it doesn't take long before he uncovers some pretty messed up stuff about his family. The best thing about Hollow Cocoon is these 10 yen coin machine games. They were so addicting that I was constantly on the lookout for more coins. Now, the second best thing about the game is how good it looks. The way it depicted a 1980s rural setting of Japan was both calming and nostalgic. And I'd say that even when things got creepy, it still looked great because of the detailed environments and the lighting. Only the beginning of the game takes place in broad daylight, but I like how the atmosphere drastically changes as soon as nighttime hits, especially since the game's mostly set in an old traditional house, so it had a bunch of sliding doors that made almost every room and hallway feel exposed. It made me feel anxious going through the house, since the gameplay revolves around solving puzzles while a monster roams around and stalks you. So if she sees your flashlight or you start sprinting out of nowhere, it won't take long until she finds you. Thankfully, there are hiding spots, so if you're fast enough, you can easily stay there until she decides to go somewhere else. The thing with the monster's AI is it can get a little too persistent, so frequently saving at the game's talismans is a must. But yeah, it became more obvious when I replayed the game twice. The first time I beat the game was on normal difficulty on stream, while the second was to record gameplay for this review on easy mode. I thought that the monster during the later parts of the game got a little annoying in normal difficulty, especially since it felt like she was almost always nearby. It was frustrating when I just wanted to explore, pick up items, and complete some puzzles. I ended up just getting tired of her appearing all the time towards the end, but when I replayed the game in easy mode, it felt less stressful. I could walk around more instead of running back to the same hiding spots. But I do think that the game became less tense, since you have infinite stamina and the monster can get a bit too passive. Oh, and you get even more painkillers to restore your health, so you don't need to worry about running out. But if you want to focus on the story instead of trying to survive, then this might be the mode for you. I personally wasn't very invested in the story, mostly because it was told through letters. That's not to say that I wasn't completely interested. I just thought it got in the way of the gameplay, since I'd have to stop and pick up notes often. It would have gotten me more invested if there were more cutscenes that depicted some of the events that happened in those notes. But yeah, even when I got tired of reading through multiple pages, I still thought that it had both cool and emotional revelations. Bits of the story kinda reminded me of classic Japanese horror movies, so if you like those, then you'll probably like Hollow Cocoon's narrative too. Overall, I thought that Hollow Cocoon was a pretty good survival horror game. It's quite short too, taking around 3 hours to complete, but it does have multiple endings, so there's a lot to see and do if you want more from the game. I actually did some of them out of curiosity, and I'd say they were worth it, especially since some of them were kind of funny. Since the game's so short, it takes even less time to do another playthrough, especially since you would already know the layout of the house, as well as how to solve the puzzles and where to find certain items. But yeah, I recommend Hollow Cocoon. If you want to try it yourself, the game's on Steam. Let me know what you thought about the video, and like and subscribe if you liked my content. Thank you to my patrons at Patreon for supporting my channel. Even though it had flaws, I want to see more indie survival horror games like Hollow Cocoon. It has a really unique feel to it, and it's definitely more polished than similar titles that I've played in the past. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.